Hey yo, what's up? It's VJ the brother from the ancient mother, and this is the Headspace, Africa's most poignant hip-hop, fuck that, Africa's most poignant podcast, period. Like, fuck hip-hop, guys, like I'm serious. Fuck it, I mean it, but I don't, and this is what I want to talk about, briefly. The Headspace was born as a child of, many of you know right now, Dakeza, the infamous Gaganinzi, in collusion with Fritz Groyd, and I came into the middle of that as an interesting chatterbox who fit the mold of the stories we wanted to deliver. Now, the three of us grew up in the midst of the infectious and educational culture that hip-hop is, and for the most part, we have chosen the deliberate move to become a hip-hop podcast. When I say hip-hop, I'm not talking about rap. We have given our effort and wits and time and energy. You know, nobody cares except really us. And if you really do care, it's just by extension of identifying with what we identify with. So thank you. Because it all really centers on the beginning of what we decided to do, in seeing that, number one, we live in a country, and yeah, even a continent, that one misconstrues rap and hip-hop, thinks that the filtering of pop culture and rap as a popular medium is hip-hop, and creates a synonym between the two, when really hip-hop is a culture that for the most part has been left by the wayside by capitalism because it's not profitable in its compound form. Thus comes the Headspace. We bring these conversations, video essays, and talking points to you because we've been living in the cracks of things that go overwhelmingly unsaid most of the time. In the midst of very great gestures that have moved us, one would say, forward in the development of hip-hop in this particular country and in others in Africa. I won't name the shows, I won't name the people, I won't name the context and the stories, because actually we've probably done it already. Matter of fact, we have. We've come to a point where we feel we've spoken about everybody and everything that we could possibly speak of if we are to tell a comprehensive part one of where is hip-hop in the continent right now. And we were about to move in this mold, but notice something important. Hip-hop heads are in this place where they got so used to talking against the rest of the system because they feel marginalized in many ways that they haven't really worked on their ability to give back to themselves and to people who are there to develop the whole culture at large. You will mostly hear critique from heads, but very rarely do you hear organization and how we can come together just for the factor of understanding how we can navigate the culture at large. We famously critiqued very successful hip-hop entrepreneurs in their sacrifices to throw away the other aspects of the culture in pop culture's trajectory of using rap as hip-hop proper. And further than that, the egregious notion that trap music is hip-hop, which is quite ridiculous if you realize the cultures at play. And it's these kind of politics that a lot of people don't realize are part and parcel of the engagement of what we do with hip-hop. And we've done all of that at the expense of locating ourselves in hip-hop to a degree where we live everything out. And the truth is, everything else relates to South African and African hip-hop in ways that are undeniably profound. We can't do proper video essays on Amapiano or the importance that's going on with electronic dance music in Africa and how that ties in with Afro beats. We can't talk about any of that properly because we're hip-hop, right? Most poignant hip-hop channel in Africa. We can't talk about the budding African film industry and how that ties in with Netflix and other streaming sites because we're Africa's most poignant hip-hop channel, right? We can't give you something broader than the technical aspects of the culture and focus some of the aesthetic qualities like sneaker culture and just general street culture and how that plays into the brands and many of the local sneaker brands coming up in South Africa, where we just talk about sneakers. Let's talk about that for a minute. Let's talk about the history of sneakers in South Africa. Let's go into everything from who made Jordans popular to the advent of Itamara or All-Star, as you know, you might know it. Let's go into everything. We can't, because with South Africa's hip-hop channel, right? Well, not anymore. We've taken the conscious decision to be Headspace, Africa's most poignant culture channel. This decision to focus on the culture as it moves and also culture industry is because rap has grown so fond of itself that it alienates itself, treating itself as the smarter little brother of almost every other art form. And this permeating attitude is what's annoying, but also what's despondent about rap heads, and by extension, that attitude leaks into a lot of hip-hop. This idea that we don't need y'all, when the very fabric of the web means it feeds. It's a living relationship. And I think we haven't been able to talk as broad as we could because we've been stuck in this rubric of being Africa's most poignant hip-hop channel. So I'm here to say no more. So hit me up in the comment section if you guys think we're sellouts, because in essence, I've always liked the term sellout, because I think we're constantly engaging with the value that we give as people. You're always selling something about yourself to others, giving parts of yourself out into the world for those who value them enough to treat them like the currency that it is. So selling out isn't the problem. Not being aware of who you're selling out to is the issue, and what the terms and agreements of this selling out are. So yes, we're selling out. Hooray. And we know where we're moving with this currency and this value. So as South African YouTubers, watching the development of many YouTubers, including the one, you know that one, with that guy who knows nothing about culture, but is there because he's got the mind of a 5-year-old and asks awkward questions, and how they end up being the biggest thing. And I want to talk a little bit as an indictment on the nation, how we allow that because we think that's the best we can do. And as a result, even podcasts that stand for quote-unquote hip-hop are mainly just feeding off of the star power of retired or active celebrity stars right now, sitting next to very, very, very boring people who don't know how to make a conversation work if you gave them an engine. So as a result, man, fuck rap. On an ethical, artistic level. Why it isn't going anywhere interesting is because it doesn't question itself a lot. And as a channel that questions itself a lot, it feels very contradictory and limiting to treat ourselves to those walls as the interior of what we do. So formally, the Headspace will now be talking about everything happening on the continent and the country proper. So we'll have critical takes on pop culture. So expect to see the things that are trending, but in a light that tries to ask the question of what's the deeper analysis of what's going on here. And if that's your kind of content, then stay for the ride. And if you're new here and you didn't know that that's what we do, check out our videos before. We kept it exclusively hip-hop, and now we're broadening up, baby. It's about to go down. Uzonyiwa. History in the making. Peace.